Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we will not be taking a look at the Captainsim 777-200ER for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or at least more specifically we will not be taking a look at the product itself. So fair warning on that one, if you are looking for an aircraft review, I'm afraid this probably won't be the video for you. That being said, if you are considering purchasing the product, I would at least consider hanging around for a minute or two whilst I explain what the product is actually comprised of. There's certainly a big buyer beware when it comes to the Captainsim 777. So during this video we'll be discussing the product. In particular we'll be looking at what the Captainsim 777 offering provides, what you'll actually be getting for your money. We'll also discuss the, if you like, ethical decisions made by Captainsim in delivering such a product, and ultimately of course whether the product actually looks to be any good. We'll also touch on the overall trend that seems to be developing somewhat within Microsoft Flight Simulator add-ons, and now even seems to be affecting some of the larger, more established developers. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Captainsim have just released their 777-200ER for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people were looking forward to the product, especially given that the PMDG 777 is probably still a long way off. Captainsim certainly don't have the reputation of PMDG when it comes to their aircraft, but many people I'm sure would have been happy to see a stopgap 777 offering within the sim. As far as my own personal feelings around Captainsim go, I have to say I've actually always enjoyed their products. Are they perfect? No, for sure they aren't, but they have always produced some really nice visual quality models with generally decent systems, and they've also produced some nice aircraft that very few other developers seem to touch on. I, for example, loved their 707, 727 and 737 back in the days of FSX. I do feel, however, that as time has gone on, Captainsim have started to lose their way a little bit. Once upon a time they produced decent and very reasonably priced products, but over the last few years they've been releasing increasingly expensive products and breaking them down into ever smaller constituent parts. For example, if you want to buy their 757 and have all of the available models and engine variants within your sim, you'll need to buy 5 or 6 separate packages, with the base pack setting you back between $75 and $100, and the additional modules ranging between $20 and $50. All up, to own their 757 in its entirety, you're going to be looking on spending around $200. Now, admittedly, this is the only quote-unquote high-fidelity 757 available within P3D, and I do appreciate additional airframe models and engine variants, especially if they're done well, do constitute extra work for the developers. However, $200 for an add-on aircraft is a really substantial amount of money, and personally I don't feel like the product value justifies that. Now, I'm well aware that Captainsim are not the only ones to do this. PMDG also have a similar pricing structure, and whilst again I can't say that I agree with everything that PMDG have done over the last couple of years, they are at least producing products of the very highest quality. Anyway, why do I mention all of this when we're talking about the Captainsim 777 within Microsoft Flight Simulator? Well, the Captainsim 777 is retailing for $30, and essentially all you'll get for your money is a reskin of the default 747. That's right, to be clear, the Captainsim 777 is a shiny new exterior and interior model, and whilst, as you can see from the screenshots during this video, they have done an absolutely lovely job with the aircraft in that regard, the rest of the aircraft essentially uses the guts and the systems of the default Asobo 747. To be fair to Captainsim, they do make this clear on the product information, but I have to say for me, I still think it's an incredibly disappointing decision, especially from a larger established developer like themselves. I'm disappointed really not just in principle but also in actuality, as I was initially quite looking forward to reviewing the aircraft, taking it on a quick hop somewhere, perhaps in a jet with a bit more fidelity and reliability than the default aircraft I was hoping, and also pretending to you guys that I have some idea what I'm doing in the Boeing. But overall I came to the conclusion that I don't want to purchase the product for a number of reasons. Really I don't want to encourage this sort of behaviour from a developer. Firstly, I think what Captainsim have done here is frankly quite lazy. I don't really want to buy the product purely based on principle, as I say. I've seen their argument that a full fidelity 777 would take years in the making, and this is an offering really for those who want to fly the aircraft in the meantime. Fair enough to some degree, but even by that standard they've still been very lazy, and neglected to harmonise really any of the discrepancies between a 747 and a 777. For example, on the fuel systems page, the system diagram still showing 4 engines as opposed to the 2, of course, on the 777. Certain cockpit switches as well won't give you the desired state for the 777 systems, instead simply replicating the systems of the default 747. And even really trivial details like the MCDU status page still showing a 747 instead of a 777 designation. The aircraft also uses the default 747 sounds, and how hard would it have been to at least have given the aircraft a custom sound set, especially when they would have had to have produced one for the 777 that they provide in other sims. There does seem to be a steadily developing trend of developers falling back on using the default Asobo aircraft systems, and this would be much more acceptable if the Asobo jets weren't plagued by issues themselves. As we know though, the Asobo jets have fairly basic systems modelling, strange flight modelling and handling characteristics, and major issues with their automation. So anytime a developer chooses to use one of the default jets, as we see here, as a basis for their product, they essentially really compound the issue by introducing yet another jet into the sim that now has all of the same problems as the default aircraft. Obviously there has been some absolutely excellent efforts from the community to improve the default jets. The fly-by-wire mod of course springs to mind, and perhaps more pertinently here the Salty Simulations 747 mod. You might be thinking or hoping that you can use the Salty Simulations mod to improve your Captainsim 777, but in fact the two are not currently compatible, and you will ultimately have a lower experience with this payware aircraft than with a modded default aircraft that will cost you absolutely nothing. Ultimately, I'm really wondering what it says about the state of some flight sim developers when we have teams like Fly-by-Wire and Salty Simulations putting in their own time and hard work for absolutely no remuneration and producing in many respects a better effort and quality of product than an established developer. There really does seem to be a developing trend, sadly, within Microsoft Flight Simulator of many developers putting out rushed, incomplete and poor quality products in order purely to cash in on Flight Simulation's newfound popularity. Now, as always, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't buy the product. If you love the 777 and can't wait to get up in the skies in one, then that's great. However, once again, just be aware that you will most likely be encountering all of the same issues that you would in the default 747. Personally, I'm not even against the reskinning idea per se, in principle, but I am against charging as much as some full products for the privilege. If Captainsim had been offering this at $10, maybe even $15, then I may have come to a very different conclusion. I certainly would have picked the product up and reviewed it. $30 though, you're well on your way at that point to purchasing the Aerosoft CRJ, which I'm sure I don't need to state clearly received infinitely more care and attention from the developers. And as such, personally I would like to reward the developers who are continuing to give me good value for money, and steer clear of the developers who seem to be embracing the current trends that we see. Ultimately, I think I've already made it clear, but I'm really disappointed in this move from Captainsim. I somewhat expect this sort of behaviour from some of the newer and smaller developers that have been coming onto the scene recently, but not from a large established developer, and one that, as I say, I have enjoyed the product of over the years. I know it's a cliche, but if something is worth doing, it is worth doing right. I really hope that this trend doesn't continue within Microsoft Flight Simulator, though sadly I can't see any reason why it won't. Anyway guys, rant over. As I say, I'm not planning on reviewing the product, however if you do think you'd like to see a review then let me know down in the comments, and if there is enough interest I'll take one for the team and review it accordingly. Hopefully at least if you were planning on purchasing the Captainsim 777 then you are now a little bit better informed as to what you're actually getting for your money. Obviously this wasn't the most cheerful or interesting of videos, but once again I do hope that you found it to be of use. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, please leave those down in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But for now, thank you very much and I'll see you all again soon.